Hi students, how are you? I hope each one among you are doing great and well. Welcome to Supnit's classes. This is Rahmat Latif, your biology educator. In this video, we are going to learn pollen grain. We are going to learn pollen grain in detail. I'm going to share all the concepts which are mentioned in your textbook of pollen grain with you in this session. Okay? So watch the session till end, and if you haven't watched my previous videos of this chapter, go and watch them. Okay, so without wasting any time, let's get started. As I already mentioned in previous session, what will happen? Sporogenous tissue contains MMC or PMC, microspore mother cell or pollen mother cell, MMC or PMC, and its polarity is 2n, it's diploid. What will happen to this? It will undergo meiosis 1, and it will form n and n. I have already I already mentioned how this happens. If you haven't watched that video, go and watch that video first. I have already explained how it happens. I'm just giving you a rough idea here. Then meiosis 2 will occur, and it will give us 4n, and these 4n are connected to each other through a connective tissue, and that's why it's known as microspore tetrad. Okay, microspore tetrad. What will happen to microspore tetrad then? Say for example, this is now n. Okay, this is n now, microspore tetrad. It will get convert. What will happen? It will undergo mitosis. It will undergo mitosis, sorry, equational division, and it will give two cells like this and this. The bigger one is known as vegetative cell, and smaller one is known as generative cell. This was overview of previous video. Okay, and you will get why I am repeating this concept over here, because it's very important to understand this concept, and only then we can learn pollen grain. We can understand what pollen grain is. I hope this concept is clear. Now please remember, hold on. See what will happen. I already mentioned pollen grain looks like this, right? I'll make it here in center. It's like this. Pollen grain is like this. It contains two cells, vegetative cell and generative cell, right? First of all, you will remember, as I already mentioned, pollen grain is male gametophyte. Pollen grain is male gametophyte, not male gamete, okay? Male gametophyte means which carries male gametes. It is a male gametophyte. It contains two cells. The larger one is known as vegetative cell, and smaller one is known as generative cell. This is vegetative cell, and larger one is vegetative cell, and smaller one is generative cell. Okay. Now please see, it's spherical. As we can see, it's spherical, right? It looks like spherical, not circular, spherical. Okay. And what is its diameter? Its diameter is 25 to 50 micron meter. Okay. And pollen grain usually have two layers. This is pollen grain, this is vegetative cell, this is generative cell. Pollen grain has two layers. First one is inner layer, another one is external layer, like this. But external layer has like pores in between, like this, like this. Okay, these are the pores, like this, like this, like this, and this. Okay, This layer is inner layer. It's known as intine. What? Intine. How will you remember intine is inner layer? Intine, it contains iron. Iron means inner. Okay. And outer layer is known as exine. Ex means exit. Exit. We exit, usually exit from outside, right? So ex, you will remember exine. Okay. Intine and exine. Exine is made up of, very resistant material known as sporopollenin. It's very resistant. It's resistant to, acid. It's resistant to alkali. It's resistant to, in fact, enzymes. If you will find fossils of pollen grains, you will see nothing happened to that pollen. Why? Because that's protected by exine, and exine is sporopollen is made up of sporopollenin, which is too resistant to organic materials, enzymes, acids, alkali. And if we will talk about intine, intine is inner layer, and it's thin and continuous layer, and made up of, cellulosic material. But if the question would be which is more resistant, intine or exine, your answer should be exine, because it's made up of, very resistant material, that is sporopollenin. And exine contains these pores, visible these pores like this, 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 and this. These pores are known as germ pores. Why are these germ pores present? Since sporopollenin is very resistant, now male gamete has to pass through this sporopollenin when it reaches to female reproductive structure. The male gametes are, expelled out through these germ pores, because they can't break down this layer. They can't break down sporopollenin. That's why they are expelled out through germ pores. I hope this concept is crystal clear. Okay, great. I already mentioned intine is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, you will see here vegetative cell is large and generative cell is small. Vegetative cell, what's the function of vegetative cell? Vegetative cell provides nourishment. Vegetative cell provides nourishment, and generative cell gets converted into male gametes. Okay, generative cell gets converted into male gametes, two male gametes. Inside, if the question would be how many pollen grain contains how many male gametes, your answer should be two. It contains, or no, your answer shouldn't be two. In general, male gametes are two, which went to the female reproductive structure. Now you might ask, ma'am, you recently said that the answer should be two. Now you are saying no. I will explain why. Say for example, this is our pollen grain, this is vegetative cell, this is generative cell. This is known as two-celled stage. This is known as two-celled stage. Say for example, it undergoes mitosis. What would happen? This generative cell will get converted into two male gametes. Okay, this is the final look of the pollen grain, three-celled stage. In 60% of angiosperms, pollen grains are released on this two-cell stage. That means in 60% of angiosperms, male gametes didn't form until they don't come in contact with stigma. Once they come in contact with stigma, what they do, generative cell will undergo mitosis and it will get converted into two male gametes. Until and unless it is only, generative cell. It doesn't get converted into male gametes. But what happened in 40% angiosperms? It gets, released, pollen grain gets released in three-cell stage. It's two-cell stage, and it occurs in 60% of angiosperms. This 40% of angiosperms will undergo three-cell stage. Three-cell stage. What will happen to this three-cell stage? What I mean by three-cell stage, it means already pollen grain has undergone mitosis and it forms two male gametes already. Okay, before its release, and after the it releases, it comes in contact with stigma and it went through the pollen tube towards the female reproductive structure, that is ovary. Okay, But what will happen in 60% of angiosperms? It will get released on two cell stage only, okay? And when this generative cell will get converted into male gamete, when it comes in contact with, you know, female reproductive structure, sorry, when it comes in contact with stigma of the female reproductive structure, okay? This happens in 60 per 2 cell stage is present in 60% of angiosperms, and 3 cell stage is present in 40% of angiosperms. I hope this concept is clear. See, you know, like we have seed banks, we have blood banks in which we store blood or seeds, right? And now we have semen banks as well, in which we store semen for which technique? IVF, which I am going to discuss with you in human reproduction. But here remember that pollen grains, they are what I'll call it, they don't, they are for which time they can come in contact with stigma of the female reproductive structure, that varies. For example, in rice, pollen grain lose viability within 30 minutes. What I actually mean by this sentence, say for example, pollen grain is released. Now it has to reach by or before 30 minutes with with stigma of the female reproductive structure. If it won't come in contact within 30 minutes after its release, it will lose viability, then it's of no use. Okay, that's why rice, when pollens are released, when pollens of rice is released, they have to come in contact with stigma, within 30 minutes, because after 30 minutes it lose viability. But it's not only this. If we will talk about members of Rosaceae family, Leguminosae, Solanaceae, they maintain viability for months. If they will travel for 1 month or few months in air here and there, and after months they will come in contact with stigma of the flower, stigma of the female reproductive structure. They can do fertilization at that time. But in case of rice, it's totally different. If it won't come in contact within 30 minutes, it will. If it won't come in contact within 30 minutes after their release, they are completely, they lose viability. They are of no use then. Okay. And if we will talk about can we store pollen grains? Yes. Likewise, we store seeds. Likewise, we store semens. Likewise, we store, blood in blood banks. We can store pollen grains. But how we can store pollen grains? We can store pollen grains. We can store pollen grains in liquid nitrogen. Pollen grains can be stored in liquid nitrogen, okay? And the temperature should be minus 196 degrees Celsius. These conditions should be that's how we can, preserve pollen grains for a longer time. Like we can't preserve if we will keep the temperature as it is room temperature, or we will store in nitrogen, gaseous nitrogen. We have to store it in liquid nitrogen, and the temperature should be minus 196 degree Celsius. Okay, I hope this concept is clear. Now please see, now it's clear, pollen grain is clear. Now the question is, they might ask you question, they might ask you question, how many meiosis and mitosis occur to form male gamete? The question is like this: how many meiosis and mitosis will occur in order to form male gamete? What would be the answer? In order to find out the answer, we will just go back, through, we will summarize this, okay? And that's how we will get our answer, okay? See what will happen. This is, I won't mention layers and all. I will give you rough idea. This is our microsporangium, and inside microsporangium we have sporogenous tissue, right? And sporogenous tissue is formed from which cells? Sporogenous tissue is formed from microspore mother cell or PMC, pollen mother cell. What would happen? See, this is our microspore mother cell or PMC, whose polarity is 2n. That means it's diploid. What will happen to it? It will undergo meiosis first. Again, I am repeating, it's reductional division. Cell division will occur. One cell will get converted into two, but it's reductional division. Polarity will get changed. It gets converted into two cells, but polarity would be N and N. Okay. Then what would happen? It will undergo meiosis 2. And meiosis 2 is equational division, just like mitosis. Okay. I'm saying just like mitosis, not meiosis, not mitosis, not exactly mitosis, just like mitosis, but it's meiosis because every meiosis has two parts, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Okay? See what would happen. Meiosis 2, it undergo equational division. That means one cell will give rise to two cells like this, and this cell will give rise to two more cells. Okay? And they are connected to each other through a connective tissue. They are connected to each other through a connective tissue. Okay, these are four cells, and these four cells are known as microspore tetrad. Four. Okay, they are four in number. Microspore mother cell will give rise to microspore, and MMC is 2, and microspore tetrad are only haploid, N. Okay, what would happen to them? We won't see each and every microspore tetrad. We will just deal with one that would happen to each and every microspore. Okay, this is N. This is our microspore now. Okay, what would happen to this? It will undergo mitosis, and through mitosis it will form pollen grain like this: vegetative cell and generative cell, two cells. This pollen grain is released in how much angiosperms? It will get released into 60% angiosperms. Okay, then it will undergo another mitosis, and due to this mitosis the generative cell will get converted into two male gametes like this, and this three cell stage pollen grain would be released at this three cell stage in 40% angiosperms. Clear is this? I hope this concept is clear. Now what was the question? Now you should be able to answer now you should be able to give the answer. Okay, my question was, how many meiosis and mitosis occur to form male gamete? Nobody will say two meiosis. No, I already mentioned meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. It's equal to meiosis. It's equal to one meiosis because meiosis itself is divided into two meiosis. But they together, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, they together form one meiosis. Okay, and after me, we have to, in general, we have to see how many meiosis and mitosis will occur in order to form male gamete, not pollen grain, in order to form male gamete. First, we saw meiosis 1. One meiosis will take place, and we already knew meiosis contains two parts, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. But we have to consider that one meiosis, okay? Because in general, we have meiosis. That is meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. That is their parts, but it's generally in, single meiosis. And how many mitosis will occur? It's like this: one mitosis, two mitosis. That means our answer should be one meiosis and two mitosis will occur in order to form male gamete in flowering plants. I hope this concept is clear, right? I hope this concept of pollen grain is clear. Moreover, please remember that pollen grains, they cause very allergies in so many organisms, be it usually in living organisms, obviously, but I'm saying be it animals, be it human beings, it causes very, allergies. Like it causes respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, okay, and it causes various allergies. But this was disadvantage of pollen grain. It's causing allergies, it's causing respiratory disorders like asthma, bronchitis, but its advantage is also there. What is its advantage? Its advantage is this, that they are used, we can consume pollen tablets, we can consume pollen syrups, we can consume pollen creams in order to gain strength. I'll show you. I might have mentioned that here. No, I didn't mention that here. Pollen grains are used, pollen grains are used in order to gain strength. For example, they are used by athletes. Okay, it usually increases strength. They are used as supplements. Tablets, pollen syrups. They are used as supplements. Okay, moreover, the pollen grains we have, they are used in, as I already mentioned, they have its pros and cons. They cause allergies, respiratory disorders, asthma, bronchitis, but its advantage is also there. Its advantage is this, that they are used as supplements. Pollen tablets are used as supplements. They increase performance of the athletes. Moreover, they are consumed by race horses as well. Horses which are, which take part in racing and all. We give pollens to them, and that increases their performance in overall game. I hope this concept of pollen grain is clear. We'll meet you in such any other session. Till then, goodbye. Take care. Thank you.